We'll go ahead and call to order the Tuesday, June 28th meeting of the St. Bernard Community Improvement Corporation. Please have a roll call by the secretary.
Jonathan Stuchel.
Present.
Tom Rolson.
Present.
Bob Culbertson.
Here.
Joe Brickler.
Here.
Peggy Brickweg.
Here.
Ray Culbertson.
Here.
Chris Sauer. Chris Schildmeyer. Jerry Wiedemann.
Here.
Amy Osmalley.
Here.
Chris Sauer, are you present? All right, thank you.
The minutes have been presented to you. Are there any corrections to the minutes as read, or is there a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
There's one correction. I was absent at the last meeting.
Okay.
We canceled the last meeting.
Okay, I will make that correction and then resend.
All right, I'll make a motion that we accept the amended minutes with the correction of adding Amy to the absent list. I'll second that.
Okay. Treasurer's report.
The balance at the end of May in the First State Bank was $27,722.06. The balance in the Fifth Third checking account at the end of May was $435,757.95. That concludes my report.
As far as the first item on the agenda for this evening was to discuss the Tower Avenue application. What I have given you all, there's some updates that were requested as far as a breakdown in the budget. I've also added some pictures to the packet as well for you as far as projects that the applicant has completed based on renovation and also new build. As of right now, there is a offer in for the project itself that includes basically $40,000 cash or an option of $45,000 paid after the sale of the first property. As you flip through, you can see the rendering. The property review committee basically did have a couple concerns. One, as far as the facade itself on the front, with it having the varied materials, and I guess the major concern of that would have been having some consistency for the entire project. So similar to what actually already exists in the current townhomes. And the applicant had assured me that they could accommodate that. Also, we were able to get some updated information. As you'll see on it's double-sided, but on the third page in, it lists the actual budget for the project itself all the way through the project. So we were able to get a better description, and also finishes and descriptions as far as bathrooms, kitchen, that sort of thing, doors, countertops throughout. At this point, I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session to discuss the purchase of property. Pardon me?
Mr. President,
I'm sorry, the sale of property.
I'll make a motion. We go into executive session to discuss the sale of property, potential sale of property.
I'll second it.
On the motion to go into executive session for the sale of property, Jonathan Stuchel.
Yes.
Tom Rolson.
Yes.
Bob Culbertson.
Yes.
Joe Brickler. Peggy Brickweg.
Yes.
Ray Culbertson.
Yes.
Chris Sauer.
Yes.
Chris Schildmeyer.
Yes.
Jerry Wiedemann. Amy Osmalley.
Yes.
Okay.
We will excuse ourselves for a short time and be right back.
Do I have a motion to come out of executive session?
I'll make a motion to come out of executive session.
On the motion to come out of executive session, excuse me, Jonathan Stuchel,
Yes.
Tom Ralston,
Yes.
Bob Culbertson,
Yes.
Joe Brickler, Peggy Brickwig,
Yes.
Ray Culbertson,
Yes.
Chris Sauer,
Yes.
Chris Schildmeyer,
Yes.
Jerry Wiedemann,
Yes.
Amy Osmalley.
Yes.
Okay, at this point, Justin, if you wouldn't mind, actually, if you wouldn't mind going to the microphone, we actually have a few questions for you, if it's okay. So we did review the application for the 4806 through 4812 Tower Avenue project as submitted. One of the questions first that came up, of course, was the positioning, knowing that you wouldn't be using the entire frontage of the proposed buildable area based on the fact that the 4 units would be connected. So as far as positioning, what is your thought as far as the grass area that would be in between the existing townhomes and also on the McClellan side? Did you have a thought to that?
Like, are you asking what kind of landscaping or something we would be doing, or where we would position the
I'm
property?
where you would position the property.
So can I clarify? So there's 166 feet of frontage there, and
Okay.
each of the townhomes shown were 22 feet, so that leaves a pretty healthy amount of the property and space there. So just, whether that's addressed via a plan that you have, in, like a site plan, or if, the unit, I don't know if that's...
'Cause somebody's going to
Set
have a
in
whole lot
stone.
more yard.
Got it, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, that's a great question, and I don't have a great specific answer for that, but that's something we can address, either with landscaping or spreading those properties out and making them a little bit wider.
When you say making them a little wider, actually the
The units themselves, maybe making them a little bit wider and/or putting some landscaping or something nice there.
would you also consider the potential of building more units?
That's an interesting thought. Yeah, we would definitely consider it, like putting a 5th unit or a 6th unit on there.
Okay. As far as the definitive plans, the rendering, as we discussed, the initial feedback was the facade on the front, which you clarified that could be made consistent. For what you submitted to us based on the floor plan and the exterior, I mean, is this a true definitive, layout and, of course, design as far as the frontage of the building?
By definitive, you mean can it be changed, or is that what we're going with 100%?
I guess, is that what you're going with 100%?
We are open to suggestions and feedback, but that's where we're starting at right now.
Mr. President. Just to clarify, so this design is kind of your initial, but I guess in the talk with Mayor Stuchel, you're looking more towards blending it in with the existing properties?
Yes, if the goal, there's sort of a trend right now to make, if you look around the city, there are a lot of distinctives, and that's sort of the trend. But if we're pushing out what you guys are saying, which is great feedback as well, which is right next to the current property and this, the contrast may be a little bit too much. So if we need to make it simpler, that's not a problem at all.
So at this point, if we were going to be looking at allowing the applicant to move forward, I guess the question being is that if indeed contractually, if there's a change or an update, or if they decide to actually extend the square footage or build an additional unit, I would ask that they update us, and that could amend, or I guess the plans. Do you have an opinion on that? As far as if they change what is submitted based on, again, increasing square footage or potentially adding a 5th unit?
Is that something we'd like to explore before we execute the contract, or is that something that we want to move forward with and then discuss?
I would rather have, at the very least, a definitive unit count before drafting the purchase contract. I mean, if it's 4 units and they're wider, in my opinion, that's fine. If it's 5 units and they're the same width, but I think we would want a more specific description of the project before we'd sign the contract, or before we draft the contract.
What was the frontage again for that, all 4 lots? Was it 150 something you said?
It was about 100 and, what'd you say?
And
166.
so this is 88 feet,
Yeah,
which leaves half of it left almost.
mhm. For what it's worth, the lots for the existing townhomes are the same width as the other 4 lots. They were created at the same time by the same plat. So based on how those properties sit on the lots, I would assume that they have, I don't know, 30 to 35 feet of frontage. They probably got a little bit on the ends, but they're probably 30 to 35 each. So it sounds like we're not quite ready to make a decision as a board to vote on anything today.
At this point, the question being is the amount of unused land.
The unused space there. I mean, I would obviously have to go back to our team and talk about this. My first inclination, I would say, was probably we'd widen the existing units. Is probably cost in terms of what we have capital-wise. Adding that 5th unit, we may not have the capital to do, but it's not going to be difficult to widen the units, which would give more space and could be great on lots of other levels as well. That if I had a, without talking to the team, that would be my first reaction.
You said that you only do one project at a time. What time are you looking at if we give you the okay to start this one?
We would start the paperwork ASAP, and then we would hope to start building in the fall.
Could you, as far as the application that's been submitted, could you, I guess at this point, go back to your team and, submit a potential amended plan or an update to us with a more definitive answer as to how you plan to utilize the existing frontage and whether or not, again, you're talking about, I guess the whole point is, would you definitely stick with the idea that you would have all of the units connected? I know that would change cost to separate, but is that pretty much your
I thought that was the original intention for you, in the proposal, I thought it was you wanted us to do connected units.
It did say that, but I also, I was only speaking out loud only for the sense that, because again, you're leaving, there's so much left on either end.
Got it, okay.
The lots aren't currently buildable based on St. Bernard.
With the offset on McClelland, I got
Yep.
it.
I mean, one, they're only 41 feet wide rather than the requisite 50, so that was just a spitball. They would have to be connected.
Got
Okay.
it. So you could let us know then, I guess shortly,
Yep.
and we could
Absolutely.
reconvene and then look at the proposal based on what you have an update for.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, we're definitely interested in, like this, but I hope that's a justifiable concern based on
No, great
what's
question.
left.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, great. Well, we appreciate you coming this evening, and you can communicate with us here, I guess at your soonest opportunity, and we can get this back to the group.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you for
Thank you.
your time and consideration. Appreciate it.
Okay. At this point, just I guess a brief description. At this point, we are very close to moving forward with the purchase agreement for the shopping center. Meredith, if you can just give us a basic time frame, I guess we may actually end up having to schedule a special meeting on this because this is coming up very soon.
Yeah, so we were hoping to have it final by today's meeting, and it just, between me and the developer's attorney, we couldn't get our schedules together. But we're pretty much where we left it last. There were we just gotta kinda get final on some of the details and timing, and then we should have a contract ready for everybody to finally take a look all the way through and vote on and then sign. So,
Was our last contract over on May 31st? Are we still?
I
I
would,
thought that was the deadline or something.
I would have to go back through the documents, but I do think the preliminary development agreement, required that a purchase agreement be executed by May 30. I think you're right. I think it was at the end of May. So we are outside that timeline.
Are you wanting to kill the deal?
No, I'm just saying, we have to give them another extension then.
At this point, it would take longer to execute the extension than it would just to sign the contract.
We're within potentially days, if not a week, of being able to have this
Yeah, I mean,
finalized.
if we
It
don't
just
have,
couldn't happen tonight.
if we don't have an agreement by, I don't know, the end of next week, then we can talk about extensions, but I don't know that it's practically necessary at the moment.
And at this point, I'd rather than, just for the sake of our scheduled meetings, I don't really would want to wait till next month. So we would need to try to determine, if we could pull together a special meeting, and at the same time, depending on what the applicant for the other property has, that may even work out as well.
Yeah.
So we'll plan on basically moving forward. We'll send an email to determine a date that has the majority of us available.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the summer months are difficult, but let's just plan on this, on moving forward with that. Just to update you, obviously, everyone's probably aware at some point here, we mentioned this before, that there are some potential contract violations with 4913 Andrew. That is going to be dealt with, going back through and reviewing the original purchase agreement based on what's been found by our building department on inspections, and also we had currently had a CIC board member that was present for the most recent entry of the building. So we will be comparing, photos, notes, and whatnot, and then addressing this in writing, and whether or not this creates, future legal issue. But we'll have to decide on how we want to address that. But that is being we are discussing that right now because it's not quite going as planned.
Mr. President,
Yes.
weren't we sending them a violation notice, or did we send them a violation notice?
We did not as of yet because we didn't, it was just working out as that we actually making entry to the building.
Okay.
We wanted to actually go inside and actually do a full, and I would say, walkthrough. Because, again, the issue was trying to determine whether or not what was actually done. So aside from the exterior issues where there were, items left outside and whatnot, I mean, we were talking about code violations and that kind of thing, not keeping the yard, that sort of thing. That was a whole other story. And the fact that they were not within the time frame on the exterior renovation. But we had to schedule a time to actually get in the building. And so once we have all of our notes together in comparison, they will be served with that. But the letter didn't quite go out as planned in a time frame because we couldn't get in. And we were actually depending on the entry from they were actually dealt with by our building department because of issues with permits and that kind of thing. So we all went in. But one thing that was discovered, and I'm going to actually ask our treasurer to look, I did receive notification, and basically they had not transferred their account on the water. We need to verify whether or not there's, if any, because again, part of the contract required that we turn on the utilities, which again, we all agree that'll never happen again. But the Duke bill and, of course, Waterworks.
I'll follow up, but I know, on the Duke and water bill, I didn't pay it, so, cause they should have took it over. So if they have it, they should be getting cut off.
Right. Got it.
I thought you did get a notice that we're gonna cut it off.
I've not gotten
No.
it. Oh,
I received the notice on the water.
oh, okay.
So whether or not I can make the automatic, I have to verify with Waterworks whether I can go ahead and tell them, hey, this is the guy that the bill to be sent to, or whether we have to pay it and then basically send him a bill.
Does failure to pay one account affect your other accounts? Like, are they only gonna cut off
They're only cut
Andrew,
off Andrew,
not ding us on the other accounts?
correct.
Okay.
Because they're paid separately, it's not like it's a summary bill.
Sure.
Are we
Okay.
able to contact them and just let them know that we do not own this property anymore?
Typically, they
It's the
only go
purchase.
off of Hamilton County records, they won't let you transfer property. Waterworks, they'll go through, so I'll have to find out why they haven't switched it over then.
I mean, in theory, we should be able to send them a deed or a settlement statement and say, we don't own this anymore. It was the purchaser's responsibility to transfer, it's their fault, or it's their problem.
In our last minutes, there was a thing here, say, make sure we didn't get billed for putting the line in. Was that checked out too?
Yeah, I did not see any bill for putting the line in, through Cincinnati Gas, or Cincinnati Water Works.
And we actually, if you go back to their original settlement statement, we actually did, that was part of the agreement on the purchase price, because we were actually not going to actually do anything further with it. They were assuming everything that was done, because basically, the work that needed to be done by the plumber and then what was required for Duke to reconnect is solely on them. But I'll reach out to Waterworks. I don't know if you want to talk to Duke just to make sure.
Yeah, I'll double check with Duke.
All right.
on that.
As far as anything under open discussion, additional agenda items by the board.
Jonathan, trying to think of, it wasn't Go Vibrant, it was the other one, the master development plan. Where are we at on that? I know they put it on hold with COVID.
So as of right now, I'm just, to be honest with you, I need to get through this actual shopping center purchase agreement, which has been taking a lot of time. So once that is signed, I think that we can easily take on working and bringing in some potential options to speak with us as to what they could potentially do for the Vine Street corridor. So if we can get through, hopefully by the next meeting, maybe we can have that revisited. But I don't know about you, but this has been taking up a lot of time, and I can't deal with the second one. So once we get that signed, that's going to be a huge sigh of relief, and then we can move on that, which I definitely want to get done. So that'll be moving. And then I can also touch on Go Vibrant. So we had to postpone the meeting that was scheduled for tomorrow with Christy Zergis, but it will be the second meeting in the last 30 days that we've had, and we actually have proposed routes. We've obviously signed the contract and paid them, so that's going to be coming into fruition very shortly, which is pretty exciting. So she's working diligently on that, and Chris has been working hard as well on the routes and working on some of the apps that we'll have, of course, to allow people to keep track of the time that they spent and whatnot. So that's coming. Anyone else? Anyone in the audience? Okay. So at this point, our next meeting is scheduled, our official meeting, scheduled for July 26th here in Council Chambers. We will be notifying everyone of potential special meeting date. At this point, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
All right. We don't usually. We can.